All right, let's dive in. We're going to tackle one of the biggest challenges in all of project management: how to move past gut feelings and guesswork and start using real data to see the future.
Every senior manager has felt this in their gut. It's the dreaded watermelon project. You know the one. On the surface, every single status report is green. All the boxes are checked. But underneath? Oh, underneath a disaster is brewing, and it's about to explode. It is, no joke, a project manager's absolute worst nightmare.
And here's the wild part: these projects don't blow up because some totally new, out of the blue risk suddenly appears. Nope. They fail because the team had no objective way of knowing which of their known risks actually mattered most. They were just relying on gut feelings, and we all know that can be a playground for all sorts of biases.
So this really brings us to the core question we need to answer today. If you've got this huge detailed list of all the things that could go wrong, why do things still go so wrong? Well, the answer lies in making one critical shift, moving away from those vague qualitative labels like high, medium, low, and into a world of rigorous numerical risk analysis. That is the entire game changer.
But hold on. Before we can just bust open the analyst's toolkit and play with all the cool toys, we gotta prep the worksite. You see, this level of analysis isn't for every little project. And believe me, trying to run these numbers on a weak foundation is actually way more dangerous than just doing nothing at all.
So what's in that foundation? You absolutely need these four pillars. First, high quality data. This is non-negotiable. It's the old saying, garbage in, garbage out. Second, you need rock solid baselines for your scope, schedule, and cost. I mean, how can you measure risk if you don't know what you're measuring against? Third, you need the right software, and this is crucial, the expertise to actually build and interpret the models. And finally, all of this has to be wrapped up in a formal, agreed upon risk management plan. Okay, with our foundation firmly in place, now we can open the toolkit. I want you to think of these techniques not just as tools, but as a series of loops where each one helps us answer a more specific, more critical question about where our project is headed. And our first question is a big one. You know, a project doesn't just have one single guaranteed outcome. It has this huge, sprawling range of possibilities based on all the uncertainties floating around. So how on earth do we get our arms around that kind of complexity? We do it with an incredibly powerful technique called a Monte Carlo simulation. Here's the gist of it. Instead of giving a task a single estimate, like say 10 days, we give it a range. Maybe it's 8 to 15 days, but most likely 10. The software then runs the entire project thousands, even tens of thousands of times, each time picking random values from within those ranges you set. This is a huge mental shift, right? It's not about finding the one right answer anymore. It's about understanding the entire spectrum of what's probable. And let me tell you, the results can be a real gut punch. A simulation might spit out a number that says, based on everything we know, you only have a 12% chance of hitting your original budget. Now that is a powerful, data-driven reality check that forces a conversation. The simulation's output gives you this beautiful chart called an S-curve. It lets you go to your stakeholders and say something incredibly powerful, like, look, to be 75% confident that we'll finish on budget, we need this specific amount of contingency. It completely elevates the conversation from hopeful guessing to an actual evidence-based negotiation.
Okay, so Monte Carlo gave us the big picture, but now we've got a new problem. We have dozens, maybe hundreds of risks. We can't possibly fight every single fire. So, where should we focus our limited time, money, and energy to get the biggest bang for our buck? The answer to that is sensitivity analysis. This technique is like a heat-seeking missile. It dives into all that simulation data and figures out which specific risks are the big hitters, the ones that are really causing the most chaos and volatility in your project's final cost or schedule. It points you right to the heart of your uncertainty.
And the best way to visualize this is with the tornado diagram. It's awesome, super intuitive. The risks with the longest bars at the top of the chart are the ones that have the biggest impact. This diagram is basically screaming at your team, hey, forget all that other noise for a minute. Your biggest problems are right here. Raw material costs and permitting delays. Go fix those. So let's keep building on this. We've mapped the universe of possibilities, and we've identified our biggest risks. But what happens when we come to a fork in the road, a strategic choice? Do we build the new factory or upgrade the old one? Both options look pretty good, but they each have their own set of risks and rewards. How do we possibly choose? For that, we use decision tree analysis. We literally map out each choice and its potential outcomes, and then we calculate something called the expected monetary value, or EMV. It's actually pretty simple. You just multiply the probability of an outcome by its financial impact, positive or negative. What this does is strip all the emotion and bias out of the debate and gives you a clear, quantitative reason to pick one path over the other. And you know what? We can go even deeper. You've got influence diagrams, which help us visualize that really complex, interconnected web of cause and effect. And then there's regression analysis, which helps us spot hidden connections in our data. Like, is there a statistical link between team morale and defect rates? These tools help us systematically understand why things are happening, not just that they're happening. Now, here's a really critical turn in our discussion. These amazing tools, well, they aren't used the same way everywhere. How we apply them depends massively on whether we're in a traditional, plan everything up front kind of project or a more modern, adaptive, agile one. So in a traditional waterfall project, you do this huge, heavy analysis up front to try and predict everything and set one big contingency reserve. But in the agile world, it's a completely different philosophy. Risk is managed constantly. The work you do to mitigate risks is prioritized right alongside building new features in something called a risk-adjusted backlog. This means you're always working on the most valuable thing, whether that's a feature for the customer or an action to reduce a threat. And a key agile technique here is the risk spike. Let's say the team isn't sure about a new piece of technology. Instead of just guessing and hoping for the best, they dedicate a short, focused cycle, a spike, to do nothing but explore that one uncertainty. The whole goal is to learn and kill the risk early. They embrace fast failure so they can avoid a huge, catastrophic failure down the line. So let's bring this all home. We started this whole thing with the problem of the dreaded watermelon project, and now I think we can see a clear path to avoiding it. It all comes down to the project manager's core job, being an integrator. The answer to our original question is now crystal clear, isn't it? The watermelon project happens because of one fundamental thing: a failure to prioritize risks with numbers. The team hears that quiet whisper of a low probability risk, but without the data to see its massive potential impact when combined with other risks, they just ignore it. And eventually that whisper becomes a roar. Your ultimate value as a project leader, your true edge, is this. It's your ability to use these tools to see the hidden connective tissue between uncertainty and value. You are the integrator who can transform risk management from a subjective guessing game into a true data-driven discipline. And that really brings us to the final takeaway. I'll leave you with just one question. Armed with what you know now, take a good hard look at your current portfolio. Is your next project a watermelon? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. Keep analyzing and keep integrating.